to formally again welcome to the annual general meeting. This is my first as chairperson, and I had hoped it would be under more normal circumstances, but COVID-19 changed that. However, I'm delighted to be able to chair this AGM and to be the first person with epilepsy to chair the organisation. Firstly, I'd like to thank my predecessor, Mark Dowdall, for his calm and steady stewardship and his commitment to Epilepsy Ireland over many years. I would also like to thank our former treasurer, Mr. Michael McLaughlin, who stepped down in 2019. Michael was a valued member of our board. My thanks goes to Professor Norman Delanty, Dr. Brian Sweeney, Dr. Brian Lynch, Dr. Brian McNamara, and Dr. Michael Hennessy, who all stepped down from our board during 2019, but who all remain actively engaged with our work. Could I ask everybody to make sure they mute their microphones, please? 2019 was a year that brought challenges for Epilepsy Ireland, but also a year of achievements. Back in 2017, we launched our 5-year strategic plan. In this, we outlined our 20 objectives to meet our long-standing mission and achieve our ambitious vision of a society in which no person's life is limited by epilepsy. 2019 saw us midway through that strategic plan. In it, we set out to develop in new directions across the key areas of support and information, training, epilepsy awareness, advocacy and research, while maintaining existing services and activities. Work in all these areas have been achieved, several areas progressing quickly, but some with more to do. As with any strategic plan, the board is acutely aware that objectives may change at any given time, particularly as resources or partnership can become an issue. But we could not foresee when planning in 2019 and 2020 what lay ahead and how an unforeseen deadly virus could change almost everything. COVID-19 has forced us to put plans on hold and change how we work. It has set us new challenges, and we are actively working to keep services operating safely. How we do our work is as important as what we do. It is of the utmost importance to operate at the highest standards of governance, which as a board we commit to fully. Together with the CEO, we have been working diligently to ensure Epilepsy Ireland achieves the highest standards of governance. We comply with the Governance Code for community, voluntary and charitable organisations. Our board fully adopted the Statement of Guiding Principles for Fundraising in 2017, and we publish our accounts in accordance with the Charity SOAR Best Practice Standard. This means Epilepsy Ireland is triple locked, which is the gold standard for charity governance. We are also operating under the Charities Regulators Governance Code for 2020 and reporting on that from next year. We also hold Picasso Quality Level 1 mark, which is certified by the National Council for Voluntary Organisations in the UK. You'll learn the full details of our finances shortly in the Treasurer's Report, and although last year Epilepsy Ireland reported a small surplus, the fact is that in 4 of the previous 6 years, we recorded a deficit, and in some years it was quite considerable. This is worrying, given that in 2020 our fundraising ability has significantly diminished. Dozens of events that would normally be organised by our fantastic fundraising volunteers have been cancelled, and our key annual events such as Purple Day and Rose Week have been seriously affected too. This is understandable during a public health crisis, and for many an economic crisis as well. But the services of Epilepsy Ireland are still very much in demand, and the charity is there to help people through these difficult days, as it was during 2019. So let me share with you some more details of the work undertaken during 2019. Our support and information services are at the centre of that work. The services are provided from 10 locations nationwide, with 11 community resource officers, an information officer, and an EI funding nurse position. The charity offers one-to-one support, outreach services, support groups, educational programs, self-management programs, and dozens of local seminars and events. It's important to note the issues arising in one-to-one contacts are often complex and wide-ranging. This may mean a community resource officer spends a significant amount of time dealing with one particular issue, and it can lead to more education and awareness work in the community, workplace, or an educational setting. For that reason, it's important to note that measuring our work purely by numbers does not always present the full story on the impact we make. Nevertheless, during 2019, there were 21,821 individual contacts, up from 19,447 in 2018, an increase of over 12%. This is a number that has consistently grown over the last 5 years, reflecting an ever-increasing demand for our services. Of these, there were 2,744 new clients, compared to 2,499 in 2018. There were 9,836 contacts with individuals in group settings, including educational awareness sessions, group self-management and training programs. These included our self-management courses, the Living Well with Epilepsy Toolkit, which saw almost 300 toolkits completed in 2019, and 61 local support groups facilitated, some parent-specific focused in several regions, with a total of 493 people attending. Across a variety of community settings, CROs held information sessions, talks and seminars to provide information on epilepsy, and 2,745 people attended these. I referred to the increasing need for individual one-to-one help with complex cases earlier, and this is reflected in a strategic change of relationship with HSE hospitals over the last number of years. This has resulted in referrals from epilepsy nurse specialists, neurologists and paediatric neurology teams. Epilepsy Ireland also has an active hospital outreach service. 70 sessions were held in hospital settings with 412 individuals availing of this support. We were delighted to get approval on a new Sláinte care-funded project during this year that would see our joint working with HSE clinical teams expanded. There were a range of other activities, including women in epilepsy workshops, sibling workshops, and heads-up seminars around memory and cognition. For young people, there were media skills and art workshops, and regional family event days took place too. We had a much-in-demand family day at Dublin Zoo with over 200 people from all over Ireland. And we held our national conference in Cork and made headlines with an EI-funded study on whether untrained dogs could predict seizures. 2019 saw a continuation of the advocacy work on the Valprid campaign following the successful work of the previous year. Epilepsy Ireland, together with OAKS, which is the Organisation for Anticonvulsant Syndrome Ireland, focused on reducing risks to children being born today, seeking services for families affected by Valprid, and establishing an investigation into the historical use of Valprid. A highlight of this campaign in 2019 was a very successful national conference on the consequences of sodium valproate in Trinity College, jointly organised by Epilepsy Ireland, OAKS and the HSE. The Oireachtas Health Committee supported the campaign for free travel for those unable to drive due to a diagnosis of active epilepsy. This came following EI lobbying. The board also approved the funding of a small study by Beaumont on the impact of having to stop driving due to epilepsy. Other advocacy work included work on generic substitution, the Medical Cannabis Access Programme, and the impact of Brexit on access to medications. 2019 brought the report on the Independent Review Group examining the relationship between the state and voluntary organisations. Epilepsy Ireland addressed the Oireachtas Health Committee on our work as a community-based organisation as part of a review of Section 39 funding for voluntary organisations. We called on the government to address the issues around the adequacy of Section 39 funding urgently. On training, Epilepsy Ireland provided 277 training sessions in epilepsy awareness and the administration of buccal midazolam for health professionals. This was up from 199 sessions in 2018. The numbers trained were up by 33% on 2018 too. EI also provided demonstrations for parents and carers in administrating buccal midazolam. 231 attended in 2019, almost double from 2018. There's been an increase in demand for this service since it began in 2009, and it has been unfortunate that due to COVID-19, face-to-face training has to be stopped in person, but it continues to be offered online. Training for Success celebrated its 21st birthday in 2019. This is our one-year QQI Level 5 course based in Sligo IT and funded by the Mayo Sligo Leitrim Education and Training Board. TFS aims to make education easier for people who may have experienced difficulties in the progression of their educational or career aspirations. Recruitment was challenging in 2018-19. 7 students enrolled and 5 graduated, and in the autumn of 2019 we had 10 students registered for the 2019-2020 term. Another aspect of our training is working with schools and teachers, and in 2019 there were 156 training days on managing epilepsy in a classroom environment held in schools and education settings with 4,659 teachers, SMAs and students attending. These were delivered by our CROs nationwide. On research, Epilepsy Ireland has always placed great importance on establishing high quality research in Ireland. In 2019 we hit a milestone of funding 1 million over a 10-year period. We had 3 active projects in 2019. We also announced our 7th call for funding proposals, with 16 pre-applications submitted and 6 reaching full application stage. The Epilepsy Transition Coordinator role with the Children's Hospital Group came to an end after 3 years in mid-2019. This Epilepsy Ireland supported role led to the establishment of dedicated transition services in Beaumont and St James's hospitals, the creation of a transition registry and the development of a transition pathways from paediatric to adult services. On the awareness front, Epilepsy Ireland was invited to address the International Policing Association seminar held at Garda HQ in the Phoenix Park. Police forces from around the world were represented. Since then, Epilepsy Ireland has been working with Garda Síochána on developing an epilepsy-specific training segment for new Garda recruits and existing members of the force. Purple Day saw our members supporters hold varied and exciting events raising funds and awareness. Many buildings from Cove Cathedral, Dublin's Mansion House to the Public Service Centre in Dunloe all turned public for the evening. International Epilepsy Day saw Ireland rugby manager Joe Schmidt step forward again and take the lead in promoting our team message on epilepsy first aid. Joe, together with Munster and Ulster stalwart BJ Botha and our patron Ricochet, led the team at our charity lunch in Dublin, a hugely successful fundraising event, and thanks to all. A special thank you to Joe Schmidt, who has been a great ambassador for Epilepsy Ireland over the last number of years. He has played a significant role in advocating for people with epilepsy and helping the general public gain a better understanding of the condition. We wish him and his family well for the future. A huge thank you also to our patron Ricochet, who has championed the issues around epilepsy and hosted numerous Epilepsy Ireland events since he first became our patron 14 years ago now. Lastly, a sincere thank you to you, the members and friends of Epilepsy Ireland. This is your organisation. What we do is for you and me and all of us. We are working together to make our lives with epilepsy better. Thank you for all the funds you have raised to date for Epilepsy Ireland, particularly those who have found the strength to do so when grieving. We have a serious challenge financially with fundraising going forward. We expect our fundraising to decline by 50% this year, which is likely to affect our ability to invest across all our activities in 2021 and beyond. So I would ask all our members and anyone with an interest in epilepsy to think about ways of safely raising funds. Go digital, hold an online event, Facebook fundraisers, use the donate button at epilepsy.ie, or if you know a corporate donor, then we would love to talk to them too. The team at Epilepsy Ireland are still available, working for you and with you to deliver as they were during 2019. Our plans may have been knocked off course, but new ones are emerging, and we are very much focused on achieving a society where no person's life is limited by epilepsy. Thank you.